All right, Dennis Schaal, welcome to Skift Take Sessions. How are we doing today, my friend?
Hey, Will, pretty good. Feeling pretty good. Looking forward to this.
And so you're looking pretty good. I like the Barcelona hat for the listeners that can't see. Definitely check out the video version. But you're looking like you're ready to take some days off.
Excellent. Yeah, I got some company coming into town later in the week. I'm going to play tour guide. So that should be a lot of fun.
I love it. I love it. Well, thanks for joining me today as we're going to cover this session around what Rafat was talking about with Brian Chesky at Skift Global Forum. So, to set the context for the listeners, that is the session we're revisiting today. But Dennis, I want to ask you, Rafat opens up by basically testing the room on whether anyone actually believes if services, and I put that in air quotes, is truly the expansion story for Airbnb. Do you A, believe that as well after seeing what we've seen since September, which is when this session was aired? And B, what should listeners be listening for in Brian's answer according to what's kind of unfolded in the time?
Airbnb relaunched experiences, they launched services in May. I think the real expansion opportunity for Airbnb is in hotels. They have paid a lot of attention to hotels in the last few weeks, last few months. They moved their head of real estate, Jesse Stein, over to hotels while he's doing both. They hired a former Booking.com account manager, Lou Zamarica, to head up partnerships and connectivity. They moved another guy over who's a former CEO Americas, I believe, of Wyndham and Kimpton.
Yeah.
So they're making a big push in hotels. For a long time, we've wondered, how is Airbnb going to expand given all the regulatory friction that they face? And the answer is hotels in markets where they're shut out with short-term rentals.
Do you think that makes them, this is kind of off of the cuff
Yeah.
question, but do you think that makes them somewhat abandon their core product, or do you think really they're just doing this to fill in the gap of, like, let's say New York, for example, where their short-term rentals are banned?
Right. Well, the party line is that it's filling in the gaps.
Okay.
But I don't believe that. I think it's gonna be more than filling in the gaps. It's gonna be boutique and independent hotels. They have a head start because they acquired Hotel Tonight a number of years ago, which has a lot of relationships with, independent hotels. I think it's gonna be more than just filling in the gaps, but it's gonna be, an intricate dance as to how they, integrate it with their core product without diluting the core product.
Yeah. Seth Borko, our head of research, even said on the Skift Travel podcast that Airbnb is kind of the Mac of OTAs versus Booking and Expedia being more of the PC,
Hmm.
and to some degree they're trying to please the stakeholders now. This is a stakeholder play rather than actually product play. Do you believe that kind of concept is true? Like more trying to
I
please
don't really
investors
know what you
for
mean in
growth?
terms of stakeholder play. You mean like shareholders
Yeah,
or
exactly.
well, I think it's both. One of the things that came out of Brian at Skift Global Forum is that he's really disappointed in Airbnb's growth.
Hmm.
He said the revenue growth is just not up to par. It should at least be in the teens. I think in the third quarter it was 10%. So you can't please the stakeholders without, working on the product.
Yeah.
So I really think it's both.
Good answer. I like that. Well, Chesky also said that AI search becomes matchmaking or matching in some sort of concept, but also says the future will not look like a simple chat interface as we're used to with ChatGPT, Gemini, other LLM platforms. What's the real takeaway for travel apps and marketplaces? Is it really agentic? Is it bigger than agents? Do they buy, do you buy what we know about Airbnb and AI and what they're doing?
Well, what we know is Airbnb is behind in AI, despite all the rhetoric. I mean, they have talked about progress being made behind the scenes in terms of customer satisfaction and faster answers in terms of customer service and things like that. But as far as consumer facing, Gen AI, booking, I believe is way ahead, and so is Expedia. Brian talks about the new interface will be an AI native interface. Who knows what it looks like? He said this year, Airbnb will launch a what box, where
Mm,
you'll be able just to, tell Airbnb what you're looking for, and this will lead to agentic AI, and that agent will interface with all kinds of other agents in other parts of Airbnb's business. Um, so no one really knows what a native AI interface is, what it's going to look like. Um, I'm sure our apps, will be revolutionized for sure. But Airbnb's got to play some catch up, and they have. A few weeks ago, they hired Meta's head of Gen AI.
mhm.
So that was a big. I think that's a big deal. As CTO, and but that's also, sort of a statement. Hey, we're behind. We really got to get our shit together.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds very thought leadership in theory, but in practicality, it's like, what does that look like? What does a interface or non-interface AI app look like?
Right.
Right? Like, and if you're gonna build it, wouldn't you assume that they're gonna give some kind of sneak peek behind the curtain, or I don't know.
You you would think, but Airbnb's got the problem of they've made a lot of promises in AI and in other areas that they haven't delivered on.
Mhm.
Brian, to his credit, he retracted it, but a couple of years ago, he said, you won't recognize Airbnb in a year. We're going to be totally AI and a totally different interface. You won't know who we are. It's taking a lot longer, and he admits now it's going to take a lot longer than he originally thought.
I love it. Well, for the listeners that are tuning in, get ready to hear all of these big and bold statements from Brian Chesky with our CEO, Rafat Ali. So, without further ado, we'll take it away.